Several potential causes could explain the sparking and voltage issue. Firstly, the wire identified as neutral might not actually be the neutral wire. Secondly, the polarity of the circuit may be reversed, energizing the receptacle when it shouldn't be. Thirdly, an accidental ground fault could be present, perhaps from a loose or damaged wire creating an unintended path from a live conductor to the grounded metal enclosure. Fourthly, the receptacle itself could be defective or damaged, causing a ground fault. Fifthly, the circuit may be cross-connected to another circuit, supplying voltage even when the intended circuit is turned off. To troubleshoot the situation, firstly, confirm the wire identification. Use an appropriate continuity tester or voltage detector to verify the identity of the neutral wire. Secondly, check the polarity. Use a voltage tester or multimeter to verify the polarity if the circuit is correct. Thirdly, inspect all wires. Carefully inspect all wires and connections for loose, damaged, or cross-connected wires. Fourthly, test for ground faults. Use a ground fault circuit interrupter tester or an insulation resistance tester to check for ground faults. Fifthly, trace the circuit if possible. Trace the circuit back to the panel to identify any possible cross connections or misidentified wires. The initial test with the fluke meter showing no voltage could be misleading if the issue is intermittent or if the meter isn't properly connected during the fault. The spark when tightening the screw suggests a live conductor is making contact with the grounded box. The neutral to ground continuity test indicates a normal connection, but doesn't rule out other problems. Neon ballasts on the circuit can sometimes introduce harmonics or other electrical noise, but are unlikely to cause a direct short or sparking issue. The arching when the personal computer was plugged back in strongly suggests a voltage problem or a ground fault. The fact that there was no voltage between the ungrounded conductor and ground or grounded conductor when tested with the fluke could mean the fault is intermittent, or the meter wasn't in the right mode to detect the specific fault condition. Here's a detailed breakdown of troubleshooting steps. Firstly, ensure safety. Before doing any electrical work, double-check the power is off to the circuit at the breaker. Use a reliable voltage tester to confirm the circuit is energized. Secondly, identify the neutral wire. Use a multimeter to check for continuity between the identified neutral wire and the neutral busbar in the electrical panel. If there is no continuity, the wire is not the neutral. Thirdly, check for reverse polarity. With the circuit de-energized, use a multimeter to check for continuity between the hot wire and the neutral terminal on the receptacle. There should be no continuity. If there is continuity, the polarity is reversed. Fourthly, inspect wiring connections. Check all wire connections at the receptacle, in the junction box, and at the circuit breaker in the panel. Look for loose wires, damaged insulation, or corrosion. Tighten all connections securely. Fifthly, test for ground faults. Use a ground fault circuit interrupter tester to verify the receptacle is properly grounded. Plug the tester into the receptacle and press the test button. The ground fault circuit interrupter should trip immediately. If it doesn't, there is a grounding problem. Sixthly, insulation resistance testing. Use an insulation resistance tester, also known as a megometer, to check the insulation resistance of the wires. This test applies a high voltage to the wires and measures the amount of current that leaks through the insulation. A low insulation resistance indicates a damaged wire or a ground fault. To perform an insulation resistance test, firstly, disconnect the circuit from the panel. Secondly, connect the insulation resistance tester between the hot wire and ground. Thirdly, apply the test voltage and read the insulation resistance value. A typical value should be several megaohms. Seventhly, trace the circuit. Use a circuit tracer to identify the path of the circuit from the receptacle back to the panel. This can help you locate any possible cross connections or misidentified wires. Eighthly, check the neutral busbar. Inspect the neutral busbar in the electrical panel for loose connections, corrosion, or damage. Tighten all connections securely. Ninthly, check the ground busbar. Inspect the ground busbar in the electrical panel for loose connections, corrosion, or damage. Tighten all connections securely. Tenthly, test the receptacle. Replace the receptacle with a new one to rule out the possibility of a defective receptacle. 11th, check the circuit breaker. Test the circuit breaker in the panel to make sure it is functioning properly. If the breaker is faulty, it may not trip when there is a ground fault or short circuit. 12th, voltage drop test. Perform a voltage drop test on the circuit to check for excessive voltage drop. A high voltage drop can indicate a loose connection or undersized wires. To perform a voltage drop test, firstly load the circuit with a known amount of current. Secondly, measure the voltage at the panel and at the receptacle. Thirdly, calculate the voltage drop by subtracting the voltage at the receptacle from the voltage at the panel. A voltage drop of more than 3% is considered excessive. 13th, harmonic analysis. If neon ballasts are present, consider using a harmonic analyzer to check for excessive harmonic distortion. Harmonics can cause a variety of electrical problems, including overheating, equipment malfunction, and nuisance tripping of circuit breakers. 14th, consider environmental factors. Check for any environmental factors that could be contributing to the problem, such as moisture, excessive heat, or vibration. Moisture can cause corrosion and ground faults. Excessive heat can damage insulation. Vibration can loosen connections. 15th, document all findings. Keep a detailed record of all tests performed and any findings. This will help you to identify the cause of the problem and to track your progress. In addition to the above troubleshooting steps, it is also important to consider the following safety precautions. Firstly, always work with the power off. Before doing any electrical work, double-check the power is off to the circuit at the breaker. Use a reliable voltage tester to confirm the circuit is de-energized. Secondly, wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Wear safety glasses, gloves, and appropriate clothing to protect yourself from electrical shock and other hazards. Thirdly, use insulated tools. Use insulated tools to avoid electrical shock. Fourthly, never work alone. Always work with a partner in case of an emergency. Fifthly, follow all applicable electrical codes. Make sure you are familiar with all applicable electrical codes and regulations. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work, it is always best to consult a qualified electrician. They have the training, experience, and equipment to safely and effectively troubleshoot and repair electrical problems. Remember, electrical work can be dangerous. If you're unable to identify or resolve the issue, it's best to consult a qualified electrician. They can perform a thorough inspection and use specialized equipment to pinpoint the problem. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity.